All right, take two. Hi, everybody. Oh my goodness. I am really excited to be here today. I'm always excited to be here, actually. What a great group we are growing into. Well, there's a lot going on behind me. Look at all these orchids. We are tenting our little place at the beach. It's this historic building that is all it's wood. And if you're not familiar with Florida termites, there's such a thing as flying termites, and you have to tent your house. And so it looks like a big circus tent. I can remember years ago when I moved here in 96 when I was in the real estate business, the mortgage business, seeing these houses that look like circus tents and not understanding like what the heck that was. So anyway, I have all my orchids here. They tend to do better out there at the beach for whatever reason. So the title of today is My Man Moves More Than I Do. Like, I mean, literally, like, moves. His body is undulating more than yours. And so, what exactly does that mean to you and your safety and your nervous system? If you notice that, and this is really fascinating, and I've talked about this and with some of my clients recently that, hi there, say hello, I'd love to hear from you. And so what does that mean? And so and really I'll share my own personal story with this in the sense of, I used to think that that masculinity came in this power of a man who was like "Rrr," and had a large roar, right? Like his presence was known, and that is true. That they wouldn't let anything happen to me, which is true too. There's an art form to it as well, right? Because if he is louder, if he's more flamboyant, if his body's moving more than yours, he's probably more in the feminine. So what our teacher David talks about is that those temper tantrums, those angry outbursts with any of us, I mean, men or women, is actually a feminine trait. The more emotion is going to come from your feminine essence. So, as you know from working with me, and if you're new popping on, we have quite a few new people that have popped on. Make sure that you take the polarity quiz, the sandysembler.com/quiz to know your leading essence. Because just because we're women does not necessarily mean we're leading in that space. So this is what we do in the Sacred Sheep programs. We tease that apart and really illuminate more of our feminine space here. So, our nervous system is on guard all the time, right? The limbic part of the brain. So when we see a man, I mean, just think about this. This is a big aha for a couple of my clients the last few days. If he is more explosive, if he is more even sometimes even more social, it's not that it's a bad thing necessarily that he might be leading it with that feminine space. It's just notice how you respond to him. Notice how you respond when he is um, freaking out that the kids didn't make the soccer team, or that he didn't get that deal, or he didn't win that card game, and he throws his cards up in the air, right? It might be cute, or it might gross you out, right? So I'm not saying that when we're raising our little boys that we want to tell them to not emote, not to show emotion, because I really truly believe, and my teachers do as well, that the man now that we want out there in the world is like this incredible gentle giant, a man who is strong in his strength and his stature, and he is like the Zoom redwood I talk about, right? The Zoom here, and he's like this. Now within my rectangle that you're looking at on the screen, what I'm doing in here is I'm moving my body a lot because I have mastered this, still practicing the working. I use my masculine and feminine all the time. I'm constantly weaving them in and out, moment to moment to moment. Most people are working in their masculine, and then they attempt to put on their feminine, or they're in their masculine, and if they're a man, or they're more predominantly whoever's more masculine at their core, because this works with same-sex relationships as well. They keep the masculine even when they go home, and then their heart's not open. So when the heart-centered leadership is when you really are working with your masculine and your feminine. This is with all of us. And that would look like you're a compassionate leader. You notice that maybe you have some rules in place. This happened last night with my sisterhood. I had a very strict rule about this one particular thing. And then I had some feedback from one of my assistants, and quite frankly, I had kind of gotten some feedback from Creator, from God, and then I brought that to them for some feedback, and they suggested a few things. I'm like, you know what? That's confirmation. Let's do it. And so I shifted a couple of my requirements, and I did that because that's what heartfelt leadership is, where I don't enable the people that I lead. I don't enable, our children, don't enable my husband, for example. I have my boundaries around things, sure. But it allows you to actually feel in to your heart and actually project that and think through your heart as well as your brain. Does that make sense? So it's art, let me tell you. So anyway, so when you're seeing, a man, um, in his and that he is, acting out, so to speak, and you're going to start thinking about, well, do I feel safe? So your body's going, okay, well, someone's got to keep the polarity here. Someone's got to recalibrate. And so whoever is the more I say flamboyant, but is moving their body more, more feminine in the moment. That does not mean that his core is feminine at all. And I would not suggest you go and talk to him about this either. That let's have this is very deep work, and let's have an inquiry about this, and really, like, let's tease it apart and talk about your specifics, because there is a way that you can actually bring this to your partner as his oracle. And because I personally believe that we are here to, in the feminine, when our heart is open feminine, to sting him back to consciousness, just like I believe that the gift that the masculine brings to us, when we are trusting them, is to bring us back into our heart. That we can actually emote with them and reveal our heart, show all of our emotions, and but there's got to be a start and a stop, right? And when we trust that he's not going to let us go on and on and on and on and on and on, that feels really good to us. Because remember, as women, we are always testing. We are always testing to make sure that they're safe. Now, you'll find, I talked about this last night with my sisterhood gals, that you will test less and less and less as you trust him more and more and more. Um, and so I remember my mom one time said, "Well, just stop testing." Not understanding what I know about this work is that that's easier said than done. If you have a history of, maybe your father left when you were younger, or you have a history of men that have used threatening divorce, for example, as a way to control you, or they eject because they can't handle your emotions, of course we're a little leery. That someone is going to accept us for all of our flavors, all of who we are. Does that make sense? So this does not mean, again, you see your little boys playing and you want to tell them to dial it down. We want them to lead with their heart. That's actually a good thing. But just pay attention for a while, and then we could do a deeper inquiry for sure. Um, so I'm curious, how does this land in your heart when y'all go back and watch the replay? Tell me what you think. Tell me if this has come up for you, where you realize that maybe your partner, was the one that was maybe more social at an event, and you found that that actually kind of closed you in some way. Maybe you were scanning the room a little bit more, not out of jealousy, but just someone has to be in that space to make sure everything's safe. Are you always the one that's organizing everything? Are you always the one that's, finding the keys, for example? And but yet you're feeling a little aggravated. Now, this doesn't always bother a woman, right? But it's just something to pay attention to. My job here is to bring some awareness to some things that are going on in the world with you and around you. That's what I'm here for. And to open your eyes, have you see things through different eyes, right? So I've mentioned the sisterhood a couple of times, and I'm sure many of you have received an email or something from us. Our sisterhood is our 6 to 8 month program where I take women in this deep dive into his healing journey. We actually, have opened up a few slots. in the space where we want to bring in a few more women. And the reason why is it's really like the perfect dinner party, in the sense that, and it's a long dinner party where we spend a lot of time together, and it is a commitment, and the reward is unbelievable if you hear some of the testimonials that come through. um, but we want, it's I interview everybody, make sure that it's a good fit for both of us, make sure they're committed. And then, and it's nice to have, we have different types of women that come together. The commonality is that they are craving something more. There's something that is a little bit off, meaning that maybe they have a beautiful life, but they're craving something more. Not necessarily another relationship, but there's like an itch that needs to be scratched, I like to say. Women maybe that keep attracting the same partner over and over again, or maybe they've had a breakup with friends. That's something that is very common, especially after a very polarizing, or a depolarizing, I should say, situation with COVID and the last election we've had, the vaccine, where people have a lot of opinions that might be different, and they're not accepting other people's point of view. Let's face it. I mean, we've all probably lost a friend or two, in over the last couple of years, with just different mindset, quite frankly. So, and that can be very painful, especially to women, because remember, we actually congregate in more of a tribal way, in a way where, in groups, where we congregate and we get to know each other. So whether you're doing that live or online, I personally believe that you can create a beautiful relationship with women, and men as well, online. And it really depends on what you're transmitting. If you're willing to transmit and be more open, then what's going to happen is that you'll transmit this here, and then people will pick up on your energy. That's the key. So it's fascinating how this works, and I'm excited to take women down this space. I've done it with thousands of women. Excited to be here, and excited that y'all are on this journey. So if you're interested in this format, please let me know, and we can have a conversation. Okay, so just send me a DM, or you're welcome to put something here. So have a beautiful day, and thank you for inviting your friends into the society. You just click the button up top that says invite, and then we get to basically start the journey here. A great space where we get to talk about relationship in a way that maybe you haven't talked about it before. So anyway, y'all have a great day. Looking forward to it, and we will talk soon.